How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Box to Box. I'm back in the hot seat, people. Apologies, I took a few days off this month, so Box to Box was covered by Cecil. Big up Cecil, first and foremost. Make sure you show him some love. But yeah, I know people were waiting for me to come back. So hit the like button. I am back. Let's get this up to 1,000 nice and early. It's Sheffield United, about to say on the weekend, but it's a Monday night fixture. And as always, we've got a representative from Sheffield United Way. That's Sheffield United Way with 2 Fs. I will put the channel link in the title, in the description, all of that. I was joined last time out by Ollie. This time out, I'm joined by Hal himself. How are you saying, man? You all good?
Yeah, it's just like you've got to have a 3-letter name to be part of Sheffield United Way, seemingly. So, pleasure to be here.
Thank you for giving us your time. Who else you got on the team over there?
Well, it slightly ruins it because we've got Nick, but we could spell it N-I-C.
Yeah, I think that works. Hal, usually on this show, I don't know if you've watched it previously, but we tend to start with the opposition team, and obviously we're representing Arsenal, AFTV. Sheffield United's first season back after, what was it, a season down in the Champions? Was it two? Things haven't gone as well as it did last time you got promoted to the Premier League. That manager who promoted you last time is back in the hot seat now, Chris Wilder, but you're currently bottom of the league. That, Wilder appointment hasn't seemed to have changed much. But I'll get your thoughts about Sheffield United first and foremost before I delve into some of the numbers and whatnot. How, give us your overall thoughts.
Well, first of all, thank you for not calling us Sheffield. I respect that. That's like a massive bugbear for all blades. Yeah, of course, you mentioned last time we came up, we finished 9th. We took 4 points from Arsenal, got a draw at your place and beat you at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane. It's not been like that at all this season. We've looked fairly toothless in attack, and we've looked like conceding with every single cross or set piece that comes into our box. And I don't really see it being particularly different on Monday. I think Arsenal will have too much for us. Arsenal looking extremely good this season. Personally, I think Arsenal will go on and win the Premier League, and we will probably not play you for a few more seasons.
Well, listen, with that prediction, I hope you stay up. I hope you stay up and we talk further about it. Next season. You mentioned set pieces straight away off the bat, and I smiled when you mentioned that because this season Arsenal have been so dominant from set pieces. It's become a real part of our ammunition in attack. Over this calendar year, we've scored quite a few goals from set pieces. This season, we've scored quite a few goals from set pieces. So am I right to think that is an area that we can really take advantage of then if it's one of the first things you mentioned as a problem?
Yeah, it's actually why I mentioned it, because I had a look at how well Arsenal have done from set pieces. I watched you recently, I think it was at the Burnley game. You terrifying. And we have been so bad at taking advantage of our set pieces. And I mean that not just corners and free kicks, but our dangerous long throw. Dangerous. Jackie long throw, Jack Robinson. He lobs it in from either side, but mainly the left because he's like left-footed, either a left wing back or mainly left centre back, depending on if we play 3 or maybe 2 at the back. But I think it'll be 3, and he'll play left centre back. And he just tries to throw it into pretty much exactly the same area, and it very rarely results in anything other than a counter attack for the opposition. So we have been poor from attacking with our own set pieces and poor from defending when the opposition has a corner, a free kick, although we've seen very few teams take advantage of long throws towards us. That's something you see quite a lot in the Championship. I remember we got destroyed by West Bromwich Albion, or as I call them, West Bromwich Albion, away. They were lobbing the ball in. But we haven't seen that too much in the Prem, and I think that's largely because you're playing against players with far more technical ability. You don't really need to rely on your Rory Delap style, Dave Challoner style for the kids, long throws.
Yeah. Well, if I take you back to the start of the season, I assume the expectation was kind of, that it's going to be a tough season ahead. Was the expectation that you stay up? Is the expectation that you still stay up? Because you are bottom of the league at the moment, but there's not much between the bottom 4 or 5 teams. How much hope do you have that Sheffield United will remain a Premier League side, or have you kind of let the cat out of the bag and said it previously that you don't have much?
I don't personally have much. I did before Iliman Ndiaye decided that he wanted to go to Marseille. There was a bit of toing and froing. Would he, wouldn't he? It looked at one point like he was going to stay. But then I think Marseille made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And that's his boyhood club. So he's gone. Sander Berge, who went to Burnley, a really strange one that, and he wanted to go. And we don't really know why he wanted to go. Maybe it's the Vincent Kompany effect. He's played quite well for Burnley, but we really needed those 2 players. And they're very difficult to replace. especially when we don't have money. We don't have enough money anyway, not to compete sort of in the kind of Forest way that you might have seen. They've kind of gone short-term strategy, thrown a lot of money at it, and it'll either work or with financial fair play, potential points deductions, it won't work. We'll wait and see. We haven't got that luxury, and every signing Sheffield United make has to hit the ground running. Unfortunately, a lot of the signings are made in pre-season. I think it's fair to say very few of them have hit the ground running. I mean, one of the marquee signings, Benny Traore, has gone out on loan to Nantes in France.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen him.
Weird.
And he got sent off on his debut, so they've not even really seen him. It's been a mess.
It's been a mess. Chris Wilder, I mean, his previous spell at the club, would I be right in saying, he was highly rated, he was highly regarded by the fan base? Was it the right move bringing him back this season? And maybe not right when you look at it now in hindsight, but did it make sense at the time? Has it had do you think it will have the desired impact moving forward, or do you think it was just like a Hail Mary, let's just try this out, bring him back and see if it can turn around?
I mean, we probably couldn't have carried on if I was thinking like from the board's point of view, particularly after getting smashed against Burnley, a team that really you look at if you're going to survive and say Luton, Burnley, Forest, Everton, these are the teams we've got to take points against. We certainly can't get absolutely obliterated by them. And that really was the lowest of the lows. And after that, it felt inevitable that Paul Heckingbottom would have to go. I think replacing him with Chris Wilder made sense in some respects because he already knows the team, he knows the players, he knows the system. It wouldn't take long for him to get his head around all of it. And we could just, in many respects, carry on where he left off in terms of the good work that he'd done. Of course, when he actually left, it wasn't going well. Yeah. But in terms of performances, it might sound strange to say this, but we've actually looked quite good in some games and not really fallen apart. You look at that Brighton match and you say, well, it looked like we fell apart there at home in the league. That's probably because we lost Mason Holgate to a red card very early on.
Right, very silly.
Oh, I mean, that's two red cards. It's a horrific challenge and obviously a correct decision and absolutely deserved. But we as Sheffield United fans and the management, you can't legislate for that, and the whole game plan is out the window, and then it was a case of damage limitation. But in other matches, we have competed, lost by the odd goal, and looked generally more assured. But I think it's going to be too little too late. A few wins here and there isn't going to be enough. We really need to go on quite a run, and it's probably not going to start at Arsenal.
So do you think Wilder was brought in to save this season, or is there a more longer-term plan that he may be able to stabilise and potentially bring you guys back up? Because, we are game week 27 now, so not much football left to play and you are bottom of the league. So do you think it's a case of, all right, you're here to stabilise and help bring us back up, or you're just here for this season to see if you can keep us up?
I think that's a great question. And I wish I knew exactly what the thinking was, but my guess was brought in to save us. However, if he doesn't, he's got on his CV promotion with Sheffield United.
Very true.
So would Paul Heckingbottom, though. So you could argue that it didn't really make that much sense because it probably would have been in exactly the same. Actually, I guarantee we'd have been in exactly the same position.
Yeah.
But Wilder will still be here next season. I'm sort of 90% confident of that. And the real test for Chris Wilder is actually going to be how we start next season. Probably the first 10 games, we will have an idea. Pre-season, get his own players in. We'll probably lose a few. We've got, as always, good young players coming through. We'll see if he trusts them. And the real test will be next season because I'm fairly sure we are doomed.
Yeah, we'll find that soon. I mean, I like to look at the numbers going into games. The last 6, you've conceded 20, but because it's an away game for Arsenal, I've looked at your home form, and if I look at the last 3, you've conceded 15, 5 apiece in each game, including the 5-2 cup fixture against Brighton, 5-0, and I think it was Villa, the other one as well. So that bodes well for us because in our last 3, we've scored 15. In our last 6, we've scored 25, I believe it is. So at this moment in time, we're free scoring. Sheffield United are conceding a hell of a lot of goals. But you mentioned how if the Brighton one, for example, game plan goes out the window, but you have been seeing better things. So going to the, more to the game on Monday, moving over to Arsenal a little bit. Is there any chance for you that you take something from this game, or is it one of those games that you're waiting for Tuesday to look forward again?
I mean, our home results against Arsenal historically have been pretty good, and you just never know. Obviously, football, that's the reason we love it. If I wasn't a Sheffield United fan, I'd say there's absolutely no chance of Sheffield United even scoring a goal, and Arsenal would be a routine victory, probably 3-4-0. Because I am a Sheffield United fan, and I really do think our players are better than the showing certainly the league position, and I do think we're actually better on paper than Luton, and I still think they'll go down. If we get some luck, that's what we haven't really had this season. Of course, you make your own luck, but teams haven't been making mistakes, and we have. And we get punished for every single mistake we make. If we can play our very best, 10 out of 10 from every player, and Arsenal have an off day, and maybe they lose a man early, someone gets sent off, give away a penalty or something like that, you just never know. So the best case scenario for me is something like that happens, and we could maybe nick a 0-0 or 1-0, something like that. I don't really foresee us doing what we've done in the past. Famous days of Christian Nade scoring, we win 1-0, Lys Mousset scoring, we win 1-0, going even further back. We beat you in the FA Cup in the 90s. It's not been terrible at Bramall Lane against Arsenal. We will see.
Yeah, we will see. On Arsenal, I mean, we've got a few key players coming back into the fold. Jesus was on the bench last time out. Vieira back on the bench too. Partey supposedly will be on the bench come the Sheffield United game. Timber just round the corner as well, but we won't mention him too much. If you had to pick out a key threat on Monday, which I know, listen, when I tend to ask this question, especially nowadays with the goals just flowing in from all angles, defensively solid, it's hard to pick one name. But if there was one name that you could guarantee Sheffield United keep him quiet on Monday, who would that name be? Who would you want Sheffield United to keep quiet?
It's interesting. I mean, Saka's always dangerous, isn't he? So I'd probably look at him. It's interesting as well with, you saw Manchester City kind of win a Premier League without a recognised 30-goal, 20-goal season striker. And I kind of feel like that might sort of be the case as well. I know Jesus, Ketia, decent players. Whether they are going to be the long-term answer for Arsenal in sort of 5 years' time, we're still talking about that. Who knows? But I think Saka will be the one that I would be really terrified of. And I want to mention him as well because my 8-year-old nephew, Theo, absolutely adores him and looks at him as an idol. So there you go, Theo, just for you.
Nice. Well, it's a good person to follow. I mean, outside of football, he seems like such a humble guy, good character, very much down to earth, family man. So big up, good person to look up to. And yeah, as you said, he is a threat. This season, at times, there's been question marks about his overall performances, but there's no question marks about the numbers. The numbers are solid: 13 goals, 7 assists. He's on course for a potential 18 to 20 goal season. When you look at the amount of wide players that have done that over the Premier League era, not many fall into that category. So it'll be a great forward step. On the flip side, Martinelli does tend to, be a nuisance for teams. Quite nullified this year because of the lack of support on the left-hand side or the changes with Xhaka going, Havertz coming in, the left-back situation being all over the gaff with injuries. I'd say he's a threat. Odegaard, we can go on all day. Our back line, Saliba, Gabriel, they've been solid. Ben White. So overall, I think we're right to be confident going into the game on Monday. You've picked out Saka. I want you to also tell me who needs to have a big game for Sheffield United for you to take away anything. I've only looked at goals, and Ollie McBurney and Archer are currently leading goal scorers with 4 goals apiece. But would you say a defender having a top game is more a necessity on Monday, or do you think it's going to be a case of, well, you're going to concede, so you're going to need to score?
A former Arsenal man, Austin Trusty, not that he saw too much action for Arsenal. He needs to play well if he's involved. You never know with Chris Wilder's starting 11. I fancy he would be. And Ahmed Hodzic, our captain, he needs to play well. He's kind of been off the boil recently, but he is a fantastic player. Probably on paper, many would say our best player. If he's fit, Ben Brereton, Diaz, Chris Wilder has hopefully cited that he could be back, but whether that's from the bench or starting remains to be seen. We tend to start games quite well recently in terms of like having a little bit of a chance early on. I think Luton, Palace, good examples of that. And that's probably because Wilder's such a good motivational speaker that it's still ringing in their ears, that the sort of words he's just said, and they've got that kind of attacking spirit. So if we start well, you just never know. And I would say Ben Brereton Diaz is one of those players that if he's starting could nick a goal. Cameron Archer, again, if he's fit, he's got that pace. Ball in behind if he's playing as an out-and-out striker. Sometimes he's been used on the wing, and that is a real waste of his talents. But we'll see. And you never know if Ollie McBurney's going to play, if he's going to be fit, if he's going to get injured in the warm-up. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, and to be honest, you say, you tend to come out on a charge off the back of a Wilder motivational talk. And I won't say it's happened often, but over the last 18 months, Arsenal have been susceptible in early stages of a game in the first few minutes where, we have conceded a goal that really puts the whole game on the back foot. Where sometimes we've come out of it still with 3 points and sometimes it has cost us. But hopefully, as an Arsenal fan, Monday it doesn't. Before we move over to predictions and round off the show, Hal, you mentioned earlier your prediction is Arsenal win the league. Why is that? I mean, as we sit here speaking now, Arsenal are third, Liverpool top, Klopp's about to leave, Man City in second, they're on for a four-peat. Why is it Arsenal that you believe will go on to do it? Does it feel like it's our time? Does it feel like it's...
I think it's exactly that. It feels like it's time. And I do rate Arteta. I really think your squad, as you were listening off those players, and I was just listening, thinking, there's just no weak areas. There's so much quality. Of course, I mentioned striker, and it would be wonderful if you had a Haaland or someone like that you could just give the ball to. He doesn't even seem to look at the ball. It's played in front of him, and there he is through on goal. Yeah. That would be a striker, of course. Anyone would want a striker that can guarantee you goals like that. Sheffield United are desperate for it's been a long time since we've had a regular, a serious threat up front. Certainly, in the top flight, you have to go all the way back to someone like Brian Dean. So, we would really love that as well. I just think this is not only the right time, but looking at your fixtures as well, I think this is, I don't really want to say it, but you probably look at our game and think going away to Bramall Lane, not on paper at the start of the season, an easy one, but just the way that we've kind of been in free fall, you probably cite that as 3 points. Yeah. And then I think you can kick on from there. And other teams that you've mentioned, they will have other distractions. And actually, I'm not sure Klopp announcing he's going to leave will necessarily help Liverpool. It doesn't always help when a manager says they're going to go. We'll find out. Of course, that remains to be seen. But I'd very much like, of all the teams with the chance of winning the Premier League, and surprisingly, Sheffield United is not one of those teams. I've done the maths. We officially cannot win the league now. I'll go with Arsenal.
See a side in Bath. Listen, I'm sure that'll go a long way with the Arsenal fans watching this now. So I think now is the perfect time to re-mention Sheffield United Way. It's in the title, people. It's in the description. That's where Hal produces his content. They're on the road to 20k, on the road to 50, on the road to 100. So go support them over there. They're doing regular content all the time, and they're the regulars on Box to Box as well. So go show them some love, people, and Hal thinks we're going to win the league. So happy days. As the home team, Hal, prediction time. I tend to go with the home team's fans first, and lead us with your prediction for Monday night.
I mean, it's going to be so difficult. Like I said, everything goes our way. Who knows? Nick a draw. Reality, that's probably going to be unlikely. But I want to be positive. I'm usually positive. People on our channel know that my predictions are terrible because I almost always side with the Blade. So this season, you can imagine how well that's gone. I'll say, let's go with 1-1, because then when you score early, people can't say, well, that's out of the bag.
Yeah, you still got a chance. Right, 1-0. I'm looking at the goals you've conceded. I'm looking at the goals we're scoring. I'm looking at the set piece situation, what you mentioned earlier as well. And I feel like it should be a comfortable Arsenal win. So I'm going to go for a 4-1 win. Tempted to say 0, but Ollie McBurney, I know he's back now from injury, and he does tend to be a guy that puts himself about and can be a nuisance. So I'm going to give you 1 goal, but I wouldn't be surprised at a clean sheet either. But it could be famous last words, How you might be asking me on Tuesday to hop on for a 5-10 minute chat on Sheffield United Way because you pulled something out of the bag. But I won't be available if that happens. I'm busy on Tuesday. But we'll see. I've gone for a win. Hal's gone for a draw. Let us know your predictions, thoughts, lineups. Should Jesus come back into the fold? All of those thoughts and questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll go through the comments. I'll reply to as many as I can, people. And more importantly, hit the like button. Let's get up to 1,000. And even more importantly, go show Sheffield United Way some love. They're not far off 20k, even though the road is to 50 and 100. Let's try get them to 20k. Let's try help them along the way, people. How? Anything else I've missed? Is there anything else you do? Any socials that you want to let people know where they can find you?
I mean, Twitter's a cesspit, so I don't want anyone to follow me on there.
I love that. I agree completely. You're welcome back anytime on Box to Box.
I want to give a shout out to my mate Sal because he's a massive Arsenal fan. He's one of my neighbours, and I know he'll be watching this. Sal and Hal, I feel like there's definitely a spin-off YouTube channel to be worked on there. So I want to give a shout out to him. And I love it that you say we're on the road to 50 and 100k. I mean, there aren't that many Sheffield United fans, so I'd love it. I'd love it if that happened.
Well, listen, there wasn't many Man City fans a few years ago, and now they're building theirs. So never say never, mate. Never say never. Hal and Sal does sound good. Sal and Hal does sound good. Big up Sal, Arsenal fan out there. Hopefully we get the job done, Sal, and hopefully Hal is right. End of the season, Arsenal are lifting the Premier League trophy. Hal, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, and I do mean this, we do talk again next season. We'll see how it unfolds for the Blades, and we'll see how Monday night unfolds. Love for the love, people. Hit the like button. Show Hal and his channel some love. And yeah, make sure you tune in for all the content coming out over the weekend and leading up to the game on Monday. We'll be there, watch along, full-time reaction, starting 11, all the usual Forever Arsenal off the back of that. So make sure you're subscribed, put the notification bell on, all of that good stuff, people. Hope you've enjoyed. We're at people. Love.